Hey everyone, welcome back to ZoEpileptic. This week's episode is super important to me because I made it with my amazing brother, Duncan MacLeod / DuncanCantDie on YouTube. We're talking all about what it's like to have a family member who has epilepsy and what it's like to see that person have seizures. We actually revolve the whole thing around something that I like to call the California incident, and I see it's quite a funny story, but other people don't. So yeah, we get a bit off topic at points, but it's very us, and I actually think it's a really cool interview and chat that we had. So yeah, please watch, let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, awesome, enjoy. Welcome back to ZoEpileptic. Today I'm here with a very important guest who is my brother, Duncan MacLeod / DuncanCantDie.
Duncan can't die. That's
Duncan
right.
can't die.
Oh God, I wish that was true.
And today, so our plan is that I want to make a video talking about kind of like what the experience is of a family member or friend or anyone who's there during when you have a seizure and what it's like for them, because obviously it's a very different experience for them than the experience that you have. We're going to talk about one particular incident because
it's a pretty extreme example. It is a pretty extreme example.
I always refer to it as a funny story, and people are like, that isn't a funny story. And I'm like, yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Right. So Duncan got us tickets to this video game convention, E3. Yeah.
Back when it mattered.
I don't even know what that means, but back when it mattered.
They ruined E3. It's public now.
It's not all private for the cool kids anymore.
Oh yes, but that was cool when it was for the cool people, and you were one of those cool people. So
I was a +1 cool person. So yeah, we were in California and we were staying with Duncan's wife, the lovely Beryl's friend, Oriel,
yep. And her husband
and their cat, and we were just sleeping on the floor because like it was an apartment in California, so of course
you had a couch. Oh, yeah,
I
was
did.
On the floor.
I had a nice couch, and I just like woke up because I needed a pee. This is kind of the last thing I remember. I went to the bathroom, and then I like wake up and I'm on the floor and you're kind of there, and this chick Oriel's kind of like freaking out because obviously she's never seen someone have a seizure before. Beryl's kind of panicking, everyone was panicking, and for some reason there were like 5 firemen there, and I was like, usually waking up next to 5 firemen would be a fun activity, but this time it was not, and I was just like super confused, obviously, because I was in a post-ictal state, and then I don't really remember going to the hospital. I remember them putting me in the ambulance, and I remember waking up and just being like so out of it and so confused because obviously I was in like an American hospital, which is somewhere I've never been before. They have very nice, clean hospitals, but that's what happens if you're like ripping people off and making them pay for their healthcare.
The $6,500 ambulance ride to the hospital was an interesting one.
Absolutely insane. And then do you want to tell the next bit of the story, Duncan?
So Zoe comes to and she sort of starts becoming more lucid, and she looks down and she was sleeping. We had these special edition at E3, they give away swag for the press, right? And there's special edition Zelda Breath of the Wild t-shirts that they never released anywhere else. They're still incredibly collectible to this day. I've got a couple in the collection behind me, actually. And the first and only thing Zoe said was, "Oh my God, I've ruined my t-shirt." There's one.
T-shirt. I know that isn't what happened, because I remember this bit. I didn't look down. I looked you dead in the eyes and I went, "Oh, yeah. Duncan, am I wearing my Legend of Zelda t-shirt?" Because, oh yeah, something we should have mentioned. I smashed my nose open on a sink. Like, I face planted this sink. I broke my nose. Yeah, at the time I also had a broken ankle. This was not a lot of fun for me.
It was not a good trip.
No, I literally, because I hadn't really clocked that my nose was broken because I was in such a weird state. I was like, why is my face in excruciating pain? Why is this horrible for me? Yeah, I broke my nose.
Yeah,
And
she
then
asked me. That's true. You did. You looked me in the eyes and you go, "Am I wearing my Zelda T-shirt?" And I go, "I'm really sorry. Yes." And then she looked down and she goes, "It's ruined."
So for those of you who understand postnictal states, sometimes your priorities are just not like in the order they should be. And I think in my mind, I had just been so excited because we got to go play Breath of the Wild,
You
which
see
is
the
like,
collection. You see the collection behind me.
yeah,
Your priorities were exactly where they should be, as far as I'm concerned. That's
yeah,
exactly that was the right thing to
the exact
prioritize.
good priorities.
You were safe. You were in hospital. We
Yeah.
had medical insurance. Everything
I
was
should have
fine.
probably been more like, Duncan, is my nose broken, rather than like,
Yeah,
why
probably.
is that? But yeah, I prepared. I have my lovely Legend of Zelda t-shirt here because of what happened next. So the next part of the story, I don't know if this is like a good thing. Probably like in hindsight, it wasn't a great thing to have done, but like whatever, we were just being like weird and I was in a weird state, which is, I'm going to edit in this photo now. Yeah, this is a photo of me in hospital with my bloody Zelda shirt on. And the reason that we are including this is because Duncan tweeted that picture to Nintendo.
Okay, I didn't tweet it to Nintendo. I just tweeted it out in general, and then at one person I know who works at Nintendo,
Yeah.
Emma. So thank you very much to Emma for
Exactly.
sorting it out, and to JC Dotface, who actually was presenting Treehouse Live and walked away from Treehouse Live in order to bring Zoe a new T-shirt because the T-shirts were only available for day one. They had run out, and so in order to, he gave her his. He's a member of staff, so really lovely man, JC Dotface. He's an absolutely fantastic dude.
Yeah.
And gave you his T-shirt because he was the only person of the same size.
Well, this is the thing. This
T-shirts.
T-shirt is, I think it's like an extra large. Oh no, it's a small. It's just huge.
Yeah, it's a small. He was the only person who had a small because he likes to wear the small T-shirt. Looks small.
But anyway, so this photo gets put out into the universe, which, like, looking back, I probably would never do again because I was just like, world, guess what just happened to me? Broke my nose and had a seizure. It was all very embarrassing. And then what happened next? So like, how was I behaving? Do you remember anything about like when I woke up? And
can we do a quick rewind for the whole thing from my perspective, just so that we can sort of break it down how it was for you, obviously, and then for me, we just heard a crash. Like Beryl and I got woken up by a crash from the bathroom, and obviously you hadn't locked the door or anything, and there was a crash, and we were like, "Oh my god, Zoe, are you okay?" Zoe, no response. Open the door, and you were lying on the floor having a seizure. Blood pouring from your face because you'd broken your nose freshly on the sink.
Yeah.
Because what had happened is you'd had the seizure as you were washing your hands, and you'd gone face first into the sink. So blood all over the sink, blood just pouring from your nose. I was really worried. I got you in the recovery position, which apparently isn't the best position to get someone in for a seizure. You're meant to get them on their back for a seizure.
Not that I know of. You're meant to get them on the back. You're pretty much just meant to move them away from danger and then leave them alone. But yeah, I can imagine that being on your side would be good because you'd be hitting your head.
I think the mistake I made was actually putting you in the recovery position because I was a bit worried about you choking on blood.
Yeah,
was my worry because you were bleeding so much from your nose. And we called the ambulance. We called just 911. It was really, Oriel was insisting. I was like, no, we should just drive her to the hospital because that's, but no, Oriel insisted 911. So we did 911. Ambulance came. Again, we had medical insurance because travel insurance and all of that. They put you in the ambulance. They wouldn't let anybody in the ambulance with you, which I thought was ridiculous, but okay, fine. Took you to hospital.
I don't remember that. I thought you were in the ambulance with me. That's really
No, they wouldn't let me. So we pedaled to the metal to the hospital. So we got there at the same time as the ambulance, basically, which in LA traffic was a miracle.
Yeah.
Went into the room with you. You were seeing a doctor and then a nurse. They basically just gave you bed rest. They didn't give you much. They gave you some painkillers and some bed rest.
Yeah, I think I was hooked up to an IV as well. I kind of remember.
They didn't even scan. They did X-ray you, right, for your nose.
I don't remember being X-rayed, but I remember them telling me my nose was broken. But
yeah, they gave you an X-ray. They did. They took you down for an X-ray. When you came back from the X-ray, you were a lot more lucid once you came back. And then they told you your nose was broken, but didn't need setting, which, again, was a little odd to me.
It's kind of like, but
yeah, You can get it fixed if you need to. Honestly, you don't care.
No, I googled how
I've
they
got
did
one
that.
from
It's
what
horrible.
I've broken my nose, and I've got a similar bump on this side actually. So sometimes it's just stories of your life, on your face.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you were absolutely heartbroken. My perspective is you were heartbroken over the shirt.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't let it go. Can I have yours, Duncan? Of course you can have mine, but yours is a medium. I won't be able to wear a medium. Well, I'll get you a small. You can have Beryl's small. And then Beryl's like, well, and I'm like, no, she can have your small. And Beryl's like, okay, fine, she can have the small. And then you were like, oh, I don't want that one. I want my one. I want one that is for me. And that's why we tweeted it out, because I was like, okay, let's see if they've got any more in the back or anything like that. Because you wanted one that was your shirt that you had gotten from E3 for you. And it was your first and only E3.
Yeah, I think, like, thinking back on it, because I always think, like, what was I doing? Like, getting, like, you just send out a picture and stuff like that. I'm like, I was crazy, because usually I'm so secretive about when I have seizures. But I think that, like, I figured out that it's kind of like this correlation that I have between losing things that I think, like, I should have and that I deserve. It's like being able to drive or something like that, or being able to go to the skate park, which, if you've seen my other video, you'll know about, and stuff like that. So I think, kind of in like a weird way, my brain was like, it's not fair that you don't get to have this and everybody else gets to have this because of something horrible that happened to you.
Next thing that happened is we said, let's get you back to Oriel's house and just have a day of rest. We don't need to go into E3 again. I was like, oh, I'll just ring. I'll cancel all my appointments. And you said, but today's our Nintendo appointment. And I was like, yes, but you've just had a seizure and broken your nose. We're not going to go, because I had another Nintendo appointment that day to go and play Breath of the Wild, but this time in the private booth for as long as you wanted and all of that. And that's what you were super pumped for. You'd actually taken Beryl's spot as my +1 on that appointment.
I honestly, I don't remember it at all because of the post-8 date.
And so you insisted, and that's when we went in. JC Dotface obviously came and gave you the t-shirt, and then we went to our appointment at Nintendo, and they loved you so much, and you were talking about Zelda and how you'd grown up on it, and you were being so personable and sort of chatty with everybody right after having this seizure. And
what was going on?
They let you stay at the Nintendo booth basically the whole day of E3. They gave you a little spot, and you stayed there almost the whole day. You stayed there you got to play way more Breath of the Wild than I did that E3. I just want to say I got my 30-minute appointment on the first day. I got the 30-minute appointment on the second day. And then on the third day, I managed to play 20 minutes by waiting in the regular queue. And that's so weird, what I got. I got an hour and 20 minutes of Breath of the Wild.
You
sat there for 4 hours on day 2 and just played the demo over and over and over. You killed it, because I had other appointments to go to, and you didn't want to ruin that for me, but you didn't like being wheeled around.
Didn't we go to, like, I remember going into an office?
That was later in the evening. And so I said, look, I need to cancel this thing with Polaris, because I've got this sponsored thing with Polaris. But we had this opening, and luckily my contact, the person who looked after me at Polaris, was Lauren Learnings, and her husband's epileptic. So she knows how to deal with it all. And Lauren just said, look, it's fine. I'll look after Zoe the whole time she's here. And Lauren just looked after you all afternoon while I did these filmings and stuff for this unboxing that actually never went live. It never got put up anywhere, because Polaris was dissolved very shortly after that.
Yeah, because I generally remember, they were trying to give me food, but everything they were bringing me, I was like, I don't want to eat that. That looks gross. Because I think
Lauren
it was all,
bringing you basically a choice of everything from the office.
Yeah, I think it was all American candies, and I was just like, I don't want to eat.
But then she went and got you a sandwich, and you did eat your sandwich, and
I remember I had one of those jelly bean roulette things. Do you remember where some of them taste really bad? I was like, why am I doing
the gross ones?
Why did I do this? And I kind of trying to think about what I remember. I remember meeting one of your friends, and
Roger.
Yeah, maybe Roger
and Dawn.
Yeah, Roger and Dawn. They were nice. I think I don't remember. I remember leaving my hat in your friend's car, and then trying to get my hat back, and they never sent it back to me. But I don't know. The thing is, because my memory is so messed up from that trip, I don't know what order things happened. So I remember being in a wheelchair for one of the days of E3 because my ankle was so bad. Yeah, my ankle was so bad, and because my nose was so messed up and all my muscles hurt. And I remember that being a really difficult experience, because people just wheel you like out of conversations. Like they'll be chatting and you'll just be kind of like wheeled off to the side. And it's so
that was really unfair. I think people kept moving you out the way.
yeah, but that's what I mean. It must be like, you know, so much love to the amazing like wheelchair warriors out there, because it must be so difficult. And I remember meeting this other guy in a wheelchair, like we became friends. He sometimes messages me, and that was really nice. And does he still he hasn't messaged me for a couple of years, to be honest. I remember playing Resident Evil VR and actually like wanting
so
to
that was thanks to Socks.
That was horrible.
Works at Capcom. He let us skip all the queues. Socks is an absolutely lovely guy at Capcom, and he was in charge of Resident Evil and all of that back then. Oh no, it was Yuri. It was Yuri, not Socks, because it was in the States. Of course it would be Yuri, but Yuri, also a lovely guy. Like the Capcom team are all lovely, and they felt very sorry for you, and they let you skip all the queues and stuff. They wouldn't let me skip the queues. I've worked with Capcom for years. They wouldn't let me skip the queues, but they were like, no, go on in. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
What are you going to say to a girl who just smashed her nose open
exactly.
on a thing, had a broken ankle, and like, oh my God.
No matter what, it was a terrible time for you. And you really, I want to say from my perspective, the thing that you really did was you battled through and you insisted that I went to every day of that event. I was there for work, so obviously it's important to me to go to every day of the event. And you insisted on not only having me go, but of also being like, you're like, if you need to leave me somewhere and go do your work things.
Yeah.
And after a seizure, I cannot imagine how much strength it would take to say to somebody, no, stop looking after me. Go do your work. So selfless as a person that even post seizure, you're never selfish.
Well, the thing is, like, when you're post-ictal, you're just like not really yourself. But I think that also like you are really yourself because you don't have any filter. And I think that's such a good point, that I'm literally the sort of person, I'm like, leave me behind. I don't care. If you have to do what you have to do, like, that's fine. Go and live your life. Go and have fun. Like, I don't want to tell anyone not to do anything. I kind of wish I had said like stay, but anyway, this is about the California incident in which you did not leave me.
I did not leave you, no. And the California incident led to some things like you decided that because you'd had a seizure in Oriel's house, you did not want to be in Oriel's house anymore. And we got that awful Airbnb where the aircon was broken in the middle of one of the hottest summers on record. And
my God. But yeah, I remember then we went to that place. That was not a place to go after you had a seizure with a broken ankle.
It was so horrible. It was like, it was in a really rotten part of LA, like a really bad area, down an alleyway to this, like, it felt like a hut.
Yeah.
It was a bedroom and a bathroom and nothing else. And no aircon. We went and bought 2 big ass fans in Best Buy. And we just left the fans there. We were like, screw it. But by the time we paid for the Airbnb, by the time we paid for the Airbnb and the fans and all of that, we could have had a night, or because we only stayed there one night, we could have had a night in a really nice hotel in LA.
I remember as well, like, just thinking how sad it was because we'd been to like Venice Beach. And it was so, like, all the pavements were so beautiful. Everything was so perfect, like, blah, blah, blah. And this other area we went and stayed in was, like, because of the earthquakes, the ground was so messed up. And obviously, like, the city were not funding trying to fix that part of town. They were just, like, funding.
Ignoring it.
Making Venice Beach really nice, which is something you can see when you go into London. Like, I think London's not as bad because we don't have things like earthquakes. Like, our ground is fine. But if you go into central London, like you go to Chelsea and Westminster or something like that, beautiful, stunning, absolutely clean. But then these other areas
look like they've been groomed with like little hand scissors.
Yeah.
So you get every leaf perfect.
Where I live, like I'm not complaining, where we live is like a really beautiful green area. But I think that is something so important to think about whenever you're faced with something like this. It shows you what I'm always thinking about. I'm just like, these people. One of the first times I've ever heard like gunshots that wasn't like clay pigeon shooting or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, just hearing gunshots happen. Because usually when you hear something like that in London, it's fireworks. It's always fireworks. I was just gonna say, like, obviously I did that, and then I moved to Nottingham/Shottingham, and gunshots were heard. But I'm not saying anything wrong about Nottingham. It's a beautiful, amazing city full of culture, and it needs to get more respect and more love. And Banksy just went there, so it must be pretty cool. Shout out to Nottingham. Yeah.
Yeah.
Duncan likes it less than I do.
I like it a little less. We both went to university there. So my first trip to LA ever, I stayed with my friend Shofu, and he didn't live in the best area either. And Shofu and I were walking back from the supermarket, and we just saw a guy chasing a rooster down the street with a handgun. And so for me, that's LA, is a dude just chasing a rooster down the street going, get the fuck back here, with a handgun.
I think that was it's just such a scary thing. Like, I know we're getting really off topic, but just seeing people with guns, like an English person, when you go to America, you're just like, because occasionally you'll see a gun, like someone with a gun in England, but usually it's like sand bullets. Police. Is that what they're called? Yeah, it's like they're rubber bullets. Yeah, they're not like real bullets. And then it's just like anyone could have a gun, and you're just like, oh, I'm scared.
But we can actually loop this back to being on topic, because one of the things that I think we should address is the difference in price to having a seizure in the UK versus a seizure in America, because the way my travel insurance worked, I had to pay the hospital out of pocket in the end. And then I was reimbursed.
Because I had medical insurance.
Yeah, you had travel insurance we did tell them that you were epileptic before we left.
Yeah.
We gave them all the necessary information. Your travel insurance, my travel insurance to go to the States for 2 weeks is £12. Your travel insurance was £250.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we took it, because
it's the same when I go anywhere. I have to have
the out-of-pocket cost of your seizure was $15,200.
It's insane.
For one seizure, a $6,500 ambulance ride, and then everything was itemized. The plasters that they put on you were like $110 for a plaster. It didn't even make sense.
Yeah, honestly, so much love to like my American epileptic warriors, because I can't imagine what it's like to have a chronic illness of any kind. And I don't know, in America, do you get free medication if you go have a chronic illness?
No,
because here, if you have chronic illness, you get all your medication for free from the NHS. And I can't imagine if I had to pay for all of my prescriptions.
Well, this is why Obamacare, the American Affordable Health Care Act, is so important. And anybody who tries to dismantle that, because it protects people like you, Zoe, who have pre-existing conditions like epilepsy. It protects you. It says that insurers have to insure you. They don't get to reject you, because previously, if you went, oh, I'm epileptic, but I would like health insurance, they'd go, no.
Yeah, exactly. Because they think it would cost a lot for the company.
Yeah.
And I've heard things like that, like people who previously had cancer, and the help people are being like, nope, because you could get cancer again. We're not going to pay.
Because what they do is they go, okay, we'll give you health insurance, but it won't cover anything to do with your epilepsy. So if you broke your nose because you're epileptic, that whole bill is on you. They were able to go hands off. And so forcing them to at least cover people. Like, obviously, I think healthcare should be free. I think healthcare is a right, not a privilege. But if you are going to have paid healthcare, you've got to allow people to have insurance for everything. Yeah. And I mean, our insurance saved us. I paid it out of pocket. It was not a fun time. I put it on my business card, and I was like, I'll get it back. I'll get it back. Like, just telling myself, please, insurance company, don't try and screw me here. Just let me have the money back.
And honestly, it just makes me feel so the amount of love I have for the NHS is unbelievable, because I've been to the hospital so many times from this happening, just from if I've had a really bad seizure, or if I've fallen over, or if I've had, seizures in front of people who have no idea who I am. Like, I had a seizure on a bus once, and it's obviously those people, they're going to ring an ambulance, because what else are they going to do? And I think I've probably had between 10 to 15 hospital visits over my 7 years of having epilepsy, because obviously you don't usually ring an ambulance if the seizure isn't too bad, if it's kind of I think under 5 minutes, and you haven't injured yourself. So if you think about that, how much did you say that was? 16,000 for everything? That would be
Yeah.
like, you know, like 200,000 if we're kind of trying to find somewhere in between. Like 200,000. That's
No, you're
more
looking at
than people
150,000
make in
pounds.
like, yeah, it's like 150,000 pounds is an insane amount of money.
It's more than the median household income for an entire year
Oh,
for
so
a
much more.
household with two
Yeah.
working adults. Like
That's
it's
that's so
double.
much more. Yeah,
It's
people don't get
basically
paid
yeah, it's
100K.
basically double the median household income for a house with two working adults.
Yeah. But yeah, just would you say that, because you've seen me have a few seizures,
I have.
would you
Yes.
say that it's like a traumatic experience for a family member?
I think if we hadn't been exposed, because obviously both parents are doctors and all of that, if we hadn't been exposed to like the knowledge and just like, because you do gain a lot of like insight and information as you grow up, just
Oh,
by
I knew
virtue of being in a
absolutely
house full of
nothing about
doctors.
epilepsy. I had no
I guess I
clue.
also was going down the science route and I was applying to med school and all of that stuff back in the day when I had aspirations. So like I was doing a lot of the studying. I studied for my MCAT and I studied for my UK CAT and stuff. So I have a lot of information about these.
Yeah.
So I think it's less traumatic for me than it would be for the average person just seeing someone
Yeah.
seize. But yeah, it's still very scary. Like I still, you know, you're my little sister. There's an instinct to protect and an instinct to
Yeah.
look after, and it's very upsetting to see you in that state and to see how upset it makes you. And I think that's the thing. The emotional impact of it on you is so extreme that it does radiate outwards, and it makes your family feel bad for
Yeah.
you. Like we just want you to be safe. I if I could click my fingers and be epileptic instead of you, I'd do it
Yeah,
because
the amount of people who said that to me, honestly, that was like, if I could take this from you, I would. And I'm like, I
I
would
worry
never
about
give
you
it to you.
constantly. I worry
Yeah.
about you
But see,
constantly.
this is the thing, like, and then for me, that's a really hard thing to deal with. The fact that, you know, like, as much I know you guys are always going to worry about me, and I'm like, I'm 24, like I don't want to be worried about, but it's
Right.
like I know you're always going to worry about me, because if it was like, you know, you've been through some hard stuff recently and I worry about you so much. But then it's just like I've spoken to other epileptic people, and you kind of start to feel like a burden on people, because you're
You are
like,
not a burden.
I
You are
know.
a joy.
I'm just talking about like the mental
Yeah.
repercussions for myself is, you know, this feeling of like, don't, I know you guys don't feel sorry for me as such in a
No.
pitying way, but sometimes you're like, they must just all feel so sorry for me. Like they must just think I'm like really sad and pathetic, and they just want to coddle me and like all of this.
No.
And I know it's not
Sad,
true, but
maybe.
like,
I know that you get down.
yeah.
So sad, maybe sometimes I'm thinking, oh, she must be sad right now. Maybe I should give her a text or something like that. Pathetic, never. You're a force of nature. You always have been. Even when it's to my detriment, I'd never call you pathetic. Sometimes when you when you're annoyed at me and you're being a bit snipey and rude, it never comes across as pathetic. It just comes
Hey,
across as
you're
like,
being snipey and
wow.
rude. Don't get in a fight
Yeah,
with
I'm being
me. Don't
snipey
get
and
in a
rude
fight with
right
me. I'll have a go at you about the environment. Meat and meat.
now. I'm carbon neutral.
Meat is murder.
But it's
Animals
so
are beautiful.
tasty.
No, I won't even kill the mouse that's in my room. I'm actually a bit worried that it's going to starve to death because I haven't seen
Why
it.
not get a humane trap it and
Yeah,
take
I
it
have a
outside?
humane trap, but it hasn't caught it, and like I don't know whether it's still in here. And like if
Smart
it
mouse.
is, like I really don't want it to get like hungry or like starve to death or just be really sad and lonely. So I'm just gonna release it in a nice field or something. I think I'm a bit too like in love with animals. I just think they're all
You
great.
are a bit in love with animals, but that's fine. That's
They're
fine.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, they like it is difficult because it's like it's so hard for you guys to deal with, and it's so hard for me to deal with. And then it's also the fact that you have seen me in a way that I will never see myself, at least like in real life. Like someone I've thought
Yeah.
about maybe saying to someone like, could you film it for me if it happens again? But the thing is, nobody's going to do that because they're going to be panicking and like holding me and probably crying. A lot of people
Yeah.
cry. So yeah, that's like really weird because I'm like, Duncan has seen me in a way that like I can't possibly see myself, and he's experienced me experiencing something that I haven't myself actually experienced in a like in kind of a mental capacity.
In a conscious way, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because I feel the pain from it, but I'm oh
I need to skedaddle.
My boyfriend needs to go to work. Okay,
So-
anyway, I forgot what I was saying, and Joe has ruined the rhythm of this by going and bringing he's been playing.
I've seen you in a state that nobody else has ever seen you.
Yeah.
Or that you haven't ever seen yourself.
Yeah, so it's just like trippy. I also haven't actually, I think I once saw someone having a seizure, but they were really far away from me. It was like around where you live, you know where the church is?
Yeah.
I think it was when I came down for you and Beryl's wedding. I saw someone by the church and it looked like they were having a seizure. And I was like, should I go and help? But they were with somebody. And, you know, one thing I know is like when you have a seizure, unless you're not with somebody you know, you do not want other people like coming near you or even watching you or like knowing about it, because like, it is quite embarrassing. I remember I had one, like I said, on a bus in Nottingham, and these girls, they came to the hospital with me. I don't even remember them. I had to post on, like, I don't know if this existed when you were at Nottingham, but this page called like Buy, Sell, Knots, and like ask, I don't know if anyone like knew, if like anyone like knew them. And, you know, I got like messages from them and I was like, please let me buy you a drink. But it never really came to be. But it is such an awkward thing because like, you know me, and everything about me that you know is me having a seizure and me in that state afterwards in which I don't really understand anything. So it's like this person, it messed with my head because I was like, this person's entire experience of me is not who I am. It's this thing I have that's wrong with me. And so in their head, I am defined as the girl that had a seizure on the bus. And I know that like, no matter how nice you are, if you see someone have a seizure on a bus and then you go to the hospital with them, you're going to go home and tell your housemates. You're going to tell your parents.
Yeah.
You're going to tell everyone that this
and then
happened.
the legend has spread.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, my name, what I look like, all of this isn't something that all of these people know, but all of these people know is that a girl had a seizure on a bus. And I don't like the idea, that I've been like defined in a weird way, and I'm completely not that human being. Like that is kind of like an object, I'd say, like objectifying someone in a very strange way, because it's not like objectifying, but it's kind of like defining them by their disability.
I've never even thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's so weird. And it's like, so all of those people I met, your friends, when I was in that state, they like know me as like the girl that had the seizure and then was in the weird state, but it wasn't.
At least Don, you've met him twice, and the first time you met Don was not that state.
Was that the guy we went for Asian food with? I'm really bad at remembering, because something I've learned recently is epilepsy actually also affects your memory, and dyslexia affects your memory. So my memory is just like, God knows what's going on. The curtains.
It also, this whole conversation, especially like the whole you being epileptic, makes me feel really bad about clapping in your ear when you were younger.
Well, if it makes you feel better, my epilepsy has absolutely nothing to do with my brain injury. Yeah.
Fair enough. Have you ever spoken about your brain injury, or are you going to edit this out?
No, I haven't actually. I said in one of my videos that I'd had a near-death experience. But yeah, I don't mind talking about it. I was 4. I didn't really remember it, but I had got knocked over in the playground when I was with my nanny. And bless me, apparently I was just like, my head hurts, and trying to like stick plasters to my head and just being like, whatever. And, you know, apparently I was just being very like, complainy. So mum and dad just thought I was fine, and they went off to wherever on earth they'd gone off to.
No, they hadn't even come home yet.
Yeah.
They were at work.
So they weren't at work. They were like, dad was in some other city and mum was in Birmingham.
Oh, right. No, so they were, that's what it was. Ali was looking after, so our nanny was looking after us for 2 days while our parents were both away because they were away on work. And you went, oh, I've got a headache. Ooh. So we took you home and you had to lie down. And 2 hours later, that's when you were sticking plasters and going, oh, it still hurts. Yeah. And Ali immediately, she was like, hospital.
I thought it was
head injury.
No, this isn't what happened. It was, because I've been told this story like a bajillion times. What happened was, it was the next day, I wouldn't stop complaining. And there was clearly like something that was wrong.
It was the next day.
So,
I don't
yeah,
remember it being the next day.
as far as I'm aware. And so she took me to the nurse at my reception school. And she was like, if she's hit her head, you have to take her to the hospital now. And yeah, that's when I went to the hospital. They did the scan. I'd shattered.
I don't remember it being the next day, but yeah, you'd shattered your skull.
I don't know, maybe it was that day, but if it was definitely during, it wasn't, it was during school hours because the nurse was in. So if the school day had ended when I hit my head, then it would have been the next day. And yeah, well,
in fairness, I was 10, so my memories
yeah,
might not
well,
be
exactly.
fantastic.
I've just heard this story so many times. And yeah, so they did the brain scan. I had shattered my skull. I had a blood clot. I think it was about that big.
You had a bleed.
Yeah, no, it was a blood clot as well. It was going into my head.
There was a blood clot, but it was building pressure and there was a bleed. And that was where they were like, we have to operate immediately.
Yeah,
like,
so they did. My mom and my dad, they like rushed home. My mom actually got a police escort home because she was speeding and they pulled her over and she explained. And this dude literally like escorted her back to London, but somewhere between London and Birmingham. But yeah, I for a while thought that was maybe what caused my epilepsy. But after I had my EEG, which is the brain scan they do to find out why you have epilepsy, I have something called generalized epilepsy. So that pretty much just means my brain is weird, and it isn't actually from that. But yeah, I have a big scar. I just realized it's this side, not this side. I have a big scar.
Yeah, they had to
up there. Yeah.
They basically had to piece your skull back together with glue.
No. I know, but I am the only person in the family who's provedly got a brain. So ha ha ha.
That's true.
Because
it's the only person
somebody has poked it.
But as a result of this, the clapping thing, because it caused a slight bridging between the audio processing and the balance area of the brain.
Yeah, it was mean.
Also, because of the scarring and all of that. And it was, your brain's still growing at 4, so luckily you grew out of that. But for a while, loud noises would cause disorientation and a lack of balance.
You were kind of a mean brother.
For a 10-year-old boy, that was incredibly funny.
I was 4.
I could sneak up behind my sister and clap like this in her ear, and she would fall over. Or she'd go, whoa.
Yeah. See, I don't have many memories from the time, but I have this really strong memory. It's not of you, but I was in music class and we were doing percussion. We were doing like
it was a school play.
No, it wasn't. That was a different one. That's when I fell off of the stage.
She was in a school play, and while she came on to take her bows, everybody was clapping, and she fell off her stage into the band.
No, it was it was like we were all toys. It was like a Christmas play, and someone was in Jack in the Box, and I fell into the Jack in the Box, and I landed on top of him. Danny Newton, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry for falling on top of you that one time. But yeah, I really strongly remember being in like this class, and we were learning about percussion. And I remember everyone was shaking things and the teacher went out of the room, and I remember literally hiding under the table like this because my body wasn't moving properly and I just didn't want to hear the noise anymore. So I'm so glad I grew out of that because I
you listen to some loud music.
I listen to very loud music. I like to listen to my music on that part where your headphones are like, this is going to damage your hearing. And I'm like, I don't care, rock and roll.
Yeah, can you imagine if you still had that issue and you did that? You'd be like, whoa.
Well, I have EDS and dyspraxia, which both affect my balance as well. So like I am a mess. I remember when I came back from Vietnam, I tripped over something when I went to go and visit my friend. And he just looks at me and goes, I missed how clumsy you are. And I was just like...
Oh, we should have noticed when you were a kid and the joke was Zoe spills things.
No, let's not talk about that. I still spill things. I spill things. I literally cannot.
You do, and it's fine. But you know what? So do I.
That's why I drink from mugs.
Beers on the Macs.
Oh my god! When you spilled beer on my MacBook, I was so mad. But this is why, if you're someone who spills things, also because I have very small hands, drink from mugs and drink from Guinness mugs because Guinness is good for you.
Well, this ended up being a bit of a podcast.
Yeah, we kind of made a podcast now. So
it's kind of nice, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should start a podcast. I think it'd be
Why not?
Exactly, not sitting in the dark, though.
Yeah, probably. I need to send you a ring light. Let me send you some equipment. Let's get the...
Honestly, this has been a good chat. We should have a podcast. It'd be so much fun. Maybe I'd make some money. Who knows?
Oh,
You know.
wow. Money would
Oh
be
yeah,
nice.
it sucks. I was literally gonna get a job in a cafe. I was like, whatever, I've got to like pay the bills somehow, and then lockdown, and you're just like, welcome to OnlyFans. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm making an OnlyFans.
Don't-
No, I am. No. Hear me out. Hear me out. I'm making an OnlyFans, and it's just going to be pictures of fans, like really artistic pictures of like ceiling fans and like standing fans
Duncan, you're not going to make any money. You're going to have to go out and buy all these
and like
fans.
ceramic air fans. That's the joke. I don't want to profit off of it. I just want to make an OnlyFans where
And OnlyFans where it's just
it's
fans.
only fans.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for talking to me, Duncan. It's always nice
It's
to talk
always
to you.
nice.
My brother.
Hey, Jinx.
Go and check out his YouTube, all my 60 subscribers. Go check out his YouTube video, Duncan Can't Die, if you like to watch videos of people playing video games. You do like Pokemon and Zelda.
Monster Hunter and Zelda.
Monster Hunter, yeah.
We're going to be diversifying a lot this year.
Yeah, and you look at all that cool stuff behind him. He's a cool guy. Go and watch his cool videos. It would be great.
Yeah.
And obviously, thank you for watching my video. And I will be back next week or the weekend after, or who knows. I'm a bit of a catastrophe. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. And I just wanted to let you know that the reason that we're filming from this side and I look so amazing is because Duncan held up on his promise. And this is my super cool new circle light. And I don't just have to use it outside my house anymore. But I'm going to make the back setup look nicer. But thanks so much for watching my video, guys. Love you so much. And yeah, like and subscribe. Bye.